So to minimize reliance on external consultancy, what should organizations do to maximize their internal capability in order to conduct effective and challenging reviews?
So I guess for me it depends on your starting point, and I think to do organisation effectiveness without the aid of any external stimulus is possibly not the right thing to do. So I think you either have individuals within your organisation that have got skills and experience in a background that can give you the capabilities to design, develop and implement an organisation efficiency process, or you do use some sort of specific consultancy support. But if you do, my advice would be to use it in an indirect way rather than have the consultancy organisation be seen to be running the show. Because I think the authenticity of organisation efficiency reviews and their ability to gain traction is very, very heavily dependent on the credibility of internal people driving it with their customer base rather than outside of that. So I think getting to first base, you might need some sort of stimulus, but beyond there you've got to own it, you've got to build capability from within. And I think capability isn't just about soft skills, it's about simple experience and understanding. So as you do organisation efficiency reviews, I think you gain information and knowledge about the business and businesses outside of your own, and you can leverage that to gain credibility. And I think it becomes a self-perpetuating positive process. The more you go, the more you learn, the more you understand, the more you're used to drive organisation efficiency. So I think the starting point is different for everybody, but for me, if you're starting from scratch, make sure that your base process is right, use internal skills if you've got them, leverage a little bit of external consultant support if it's absolutely critical, but don't overemphasise that element of it. And as soon as you can, ditch the consultant, get on with it and do it yourself.
I think the key thing there is whether you've actually requiring the consultancy to bring in some specialist knowledge that you haven't got within the organisation. Now, I'm in a position where we believe we've got a fairly unique approach which other consultants don't offer. But the whole approach then is to enable the company to become self-sufficient. So typically we would do a little bit of work, get the answer to some of the key questions, and then use that as case study work, which we would then take to people in the HR, line management or organisation development specialists, depends how big the organisation is. We would typically run a 2-3 day workshop, take them through the findings that we've had from their own organisation, take them through the background to the theory and the approach that we've been using, and then put them into situations where they have role plays, practice asking the kinds of questions that we've been using. And the whole idea of that is that they would then take that away and then they become self-sufficient. So it's not being done to them by the consultants, but they're doing it themselves.
I like to look at consultants as partners as opposed to hired hands. And so when you're working with consultants in partnership, the expectation on what your role is in the organization as a member of that partnership is also an important role to consider. So it's not just depending on externals to do something for you, it's working with them within, which then builds your knowledge and capability. Related to that, a couple other things that I like to think about. One is to understand, what do you need to do in the future that's different from what you're doing currently, and do you want to build the capability for that, or do you want to hire external consultants? So for example, if you know you'll have a lot of mergers, acquisitions, integration, new senior teams, maybe new senior leadership, is that capability that you want to develop within your organization, or is that capability that you want to bring from the outside? So integrating new acquisitions, doing organization diagnosis on new entities, figuring out what companies to acquire. And so one question that I would ask is, what do you see changing in your strategy? What do you see coming down the line? And therefore, what capability do you want to bring in? And so that also helps decide, do I want to build internal capability? Do I want to rely on consultants? And it speaks a bit to how you might use that consulting relationship.